You stopped chasing, and she finally noticed the silence. Let me tell you something most men refuse to believe until it's too late. When a man steps back, he doesn't lose her. He forces her to face herself. I've coached hundreds of marriages over the past 15 years, and this pattern repeats with frightening consistency. The moment you withdraw your constant attention, something shifts in her nervous system. Not immediately, not dramatically, but inevitably. Like watching ice crack on a frozen lake, you hear it before you see it. If you value truth over comfortable lies, hit that like and hype buttons immediately. Subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where my strongest, most aware men are tuning in tonight. By the end of this, you'll know the 7 shocking changes that happen when you stop over-investing in your wife, and why some women only wake up when you disappear. I'm going to walk you through each stage with real examples from real marriages, the kind of details that make men sit across from me in my office and say, "How did you know? Were you watching us?" Because silence isn't absence, it's a mirror, and what that mirror reflects will shock you. The male overreach problem. You've been her comfort, her apology, her safety net, so much so she forgot what falling feels like. Every doubt she had, you rushed to fix. You thought you were being loving, but you were smothering the spark that fuels desire. When you finally pull back, her world shakes. She replays your silence, rereads your texts, and starts questioning everything. Her friend notices. She lies that you're just busy, but everyone hears the crack in her voice. The roles shift. You're no longer the one being observed. You're watching now, and that unnerves her. When you stop explaining yourself, distance breeds either reflection or rebellion. The moment you stop defending every choice, her mind spirals. She types long messages, deletes them, settles on, okay. She watches the blue check marks like omens. Who are you with? Why the silence? That's when she reveals who she is without your constant soothing. Some men panic and rush back with empty apologies. The wiser ones stay silent, finally seeing the unfiltered version of their wife, raw, restless, real. Change 1. Her confidence cracks in private. She looks calm in public but unravels in private. One client's wife played the perfect hostess, yet security footage showed her in the bathroom, scrolling through his LinkedIn and Instagram, checking every woman who'd liked his hiking post. The clues show up quietly: old perfume resurrected, new gym selfies captioned with self-care but hiding anxious eyes. She obsessively checks who viewed her story, edits and re-edits texts to sound just right, debating whether a smiley makes her seem desperate or cold. You haven't punished or withdrawn in anger, you've simply stopped overextending. That absence feels like a phantom limb to her, something missing she can't name. Her composure is just the surface. Beneath it, the foundation is beginning to crack. Change 2. The rewriting begins. To soothe her discomfort, she rewrites the story. You've changed, she says, meaning you stopped doing emotional labor. You no longer predict her moods, filter your words, or make yourself smaller to protect hers. She tells her mom you're distant. He used to be so attentive. What she really means is, he used to orbit around me, and now he has his own gravity. Even casual questions take on tension. How was work? Sounds like suspicion. She's building a quiet case, collecting evidence of your supposed withdrawal. But her narrative collapses under its own weight. There's no affair, no punishment, just a man living his life without centering her every feeling. Change 3. Attention seeks a new target. When your focus fades, she tests her reflection in other eyes. It's not about cheating, it's validation. She tells dramatic stories at work, laughs a little too loudly, answers friendly DMs with too much energy. She posts quotes like, "Some people forget who supported them," and checks likes every half hour, dissecting reactions with her sister over wine. She's not being malicious, she's bargaining with invisibility. The attention she gets feels sweet but hollow, temporary applause when she's hungry for real connection. And the biggest shift isn't who she flirts with, it's who she stops turning to. You, once her first call, slowly become the last to know. Change 4. Emotional inflation hits. She starts overreacting to small things to pull you back into the old dynamic. Why didn't you kiss me goodbye? Becomes a 20-minute interrogation that would make a detective proud. You forgot to ask about her dentist appointment. Suddenly you're emotionally unavailable and have been for years, maybe the entire marriage. Every minor oversight becomes evidence of a larger pattern of neglect that she's constructing in real time. She sends an essay via text about how you don't communicate anymore. The irony is completely lost on her. 3,000 words about your lack of communication sent at 2 a.m. while you're sleeping peacefully for the first time in months, your phone on silent because you finally set that boundary. She writes and rewrites, deletes and restores, adding paragraphs about specific incidents from 3 years ago that she's suddenly remembered with perfect clarity. Psychology reveals the truth. When control feels threatened, affection withdrawal is weaponized. She's not actually upset about the kiss. She's upset that you didn't need to give it. That you walked out the door complete, whole, independent, not looking back to see if she was watching. That you can function without her approval, her input, her emotional management. And the more she panics, the more she reveals about what this relationship has really been. She admits things in anger that she'd never say in calm conversation. I'm used to you chasing me. You always come back. You need me more than I need you. Past tense, present tense. The contradictions pile up like evidence she doesn't realize she's presenting. She's telling on herself, exposing the power dynamics she's always relied on but never acknowledged. Change. 5. The mirror moment. This is when she realizes the old emotional economy no longer works, that the currency she's been trading in has been devalued overnight. She apologizes awkwardly, in a way you've never heard before. Her tone is humbled, confused, like she's speaking a language she doesn't quite know. I'm sorry for snapping at you yesterday, and the day before. I don't know why I've been so on edge lately. I think I'm stressed about work. It's never about work. She replays your last words on voice memo just to hear the calm in your voice, the steadiness she used to take for granted. I've had wives admit this to me in coaching sessions, sitting in my office with tissues in their hands. They listen to old voicemails from their husbands, trying to figure out when he changed, when he became this centered, unreachable version of himself. He used to need my opinion on everything, one woman told me. Now he just decides and moves forward. I don't know if I'm proud or terrified. This is the moment she sees the man she kept under her thumb finally gone. Not angry, not resentful, not bitter or vengeful or playing games. Just elsewhere, building something she's no longer the center of. She watches you work on your projects in the garage, talk to your friends with genuine laughter, plan your weekend without consulting her first, without needing her permission or approval or input. You've become a mystery in your own marriage, and she realizes she might have created this distance herself. One wife told me, tears streaming, I used to know everything he was thinking. I could read his face like a book I'd memorized. Now I don't even know what he's thinking about. It's like living with a stranger who happens to know where we keep the coffee filters. The loss of that control, that intimate surveillance, terrifies her more than the loss of affection. But awakening doesn't always lead to healing. Sometimes it leads to resentment, to anger at you for changing the rules without warning, for evolving without permission. Change. 6. Respect rebuilds itself. She begins re-estimating your worth, recalculating your value with new metrics. The signs arrive like spring after a long winter, gradual but unmistakable. Quiet tone. Longer eye contact that actually holds instead of glancing away. She asks your opinion about something that actually matters. Her career decision, a family conflict with her sister, financial planning for the next 5 years, instead of just what to order for dinner or which Netflix show to watch. Her friend says over lunch, "You look different lately. Happier maybe, or calmer. I can't put my finger on it." And she admits, "He's been different, stronger somehow, more solid. I can't explain it." She can't explain it because she's experiencing something she didn't think possible. Attraction to the man she married, reignited not by pursuit but by absence, not by his presence but by his self-possession. She's attracted to the version of you that doesn't need her constant approval. Stay detached. This is absolutely critical, the point where most men blow it. Respect can't be demanded, only witnessed. The moment you celebrate this shift, the moment you point it out, or expect acknowledgement, or say something like, "See? This is what happens when you actually appreciate me." You break the spell completely. Let her discover your value on her own timeline, at her own pace. Don't coach her through her own awakening. She starts initiating conversations about the future that aren't complaints disguised as planning. Not demanding, not nagging. Actually curious about your thoughts, your plans, your vision for the next decade. She positions herself beside you instead of across from you, partner instead of opponent, companion instead of critic. And yet, some wives can't handle the peace they claimed they wanted. They spent so long fighting for control, creating drama, stirring conflict that partnership feels like surrender. Harmony feels like losing. Change 7, the final decision. She either steps up to meet you in this new reality, or leaves for good. There's no predicting which way it goes, no formula or guarantee. Some women rise to meet you in this new dynamic. They become the partners they were always capable of being, the version of themselves they'd buried under years of taking you for granted. The criticism stops. The gratitude appears like flowers after rain. She notices what you do instead of only noticing what you don't do. She sees your effort, your consistency, your quiet strength that was always there, but invisible to her entitled eyes. Others shut down completely, disguising it as calm acceptance, as mature resignation, as evolved detachment. "I think we've grown apart," she says, as if growth happened to you both equally, as if she didn't force the distance by taking you for granted for years, by treating your devotion like a resource to exploit rather than a gift to honor. She rewrites the history one final time, casting herself as the victim of circumstances rather than the architect of her own loneliness. She returns your hoodie like it's closure, not fabric. Items you left at her mother's house appear on your desk without explanation, without eye contact, without conversation. She's building an emotional exit while maintaining the appearance of stability, packing her internal bags while sleeping in your bed. The marriage becomes a performance neither of you believe in, a play running only because closing it seems too complicated. Silence always forces a choice. You never lose by stepping back. You only lose by chasing clarity that doesn't want to be found, by pursuing someone who's already decided to leave emotionally, even if they stay physically. Some men panic here, try to force resolution, demand answers, insist on conversations that spiral into arguments. Don't. Let her make the choice freely. Let her reveal whether she wants the real you or just the service you provided, the function you performed, the role you played in her emotional economy. But before you move on, before you accept whatever decision she makes, there's one truth you need to face about yourself and what this distance revealed. What the distance revealed. You realize you weren't losing her. You were losing your reflection in her approval. All those years of seeking her validation, needing her to confirm your worth, like she was the only mirror in the house. Measuring your success by her satisfaction, calibrating your entire existence to her emotional weather patterns. You were drowning in someone else's mirror. You forgot you had your own reflection, your own worth independent of her assessment. Distance isn't punishment, it's calibration. You recalibrate to your own internal compass. The one you abandoned when you got married and decided her north was more important than yours. You remember who you were before you made her happiness your responsibility, before you assigned yourself the impossible job of managing another adult's emotional state. You discover that you can be whole without her constant affirmation, complete without her approval, valuable without her validation. The same friends who pitied her 6 months ago now ask what changed in you. You seem lighter, they say at the barbecue, beer in hand, genuine curiosity in their voices. More focused, more like yourself, actually. What's your secret? The secret is simple, but not easy. You stopped performing. You stopped auditioning for a role you'd already won. You stopped trying to earn what should have been freely given. You started living instead of managing someone else's emotions, building instead of fixing, creating instead of appeasing. And now, she's the one analyzing the silence like a cryptographer. She's the one staying up late, wondering what shifted, when you became the mystery instead of the open book she could read and discard. The power dynamic didn't reverse out of manipulation. It reversed out of authenticity, out of you finally being honest about what you want and need, instead of shape-shifting to fit her expectations. The truth. Everyone argues about. A man's distance exposes more honesty than his devotion ever could. Devotion can become performance, habit, obligation, the muscle memory of a role you've played so long you forgot it was a role. Distance reveals character, hers and yours. It shows who people really are when the scripts fail, when the patterns break, when the comfortable lies no longer comfort. When you step back, you don't lose your wife. You lose the illusion she built to keep you close without respecting you. The illusion that you needed her more than she needed you. The illusion that your worth was tied to her approval like stock prices tied to market mood. The illusion that love meant constant pursuit, endless chasing, perpetual proving of your value to someone who should have already known it. Some marriages survive this revelation and become stronger. They transform into partnerships instead of dependencies. Both people standing on their own feet, choosing each other daily instead of clinging out of habit or fear or convenience. They build something real on the foundation of mutual respect instead of the quicksand of emotional manipulation. These marriages are rare but beautiful, worth every moment of the painful transformation. Other marriages end, and sometimes that's the healthiest outcome for everyone involved, because a relationship built on your diminishment was never sustainable anyway. It was always going to collapse eventually. You just controlled the timing and manner of the collapse by stepping back instead of breaking down. The shocking truth nobody wants to hear. Stepping back doesn't tell you whether she loves you. It tells you whether she respects you. And respect is the foundation that love requires to survive past the honeymoon phase, past the comfortable years, past the moment when being taken for granted becomes the norm everyone accepts. Love without respect is just comfortable codependency with better marketing. You didn't lose anything by creating distance. You revealed everything that was always true, but hidden beneath the surface of daily routine. And now you know. Now you can make decisions based on reality instead of hope, on evidence instead of potential, on who she is instead of who you wished she would become. The silence forced the truth into the light, and the truth, however painful, is always better than a comfortable lie.